Welcome to Throttle Roots Podcast with host Ray Restoglide and co-host Joe Black Sheep Dinah 33. Viewer discretion advised. Please get parent consent before viewing.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Throttled Roots Podcast, recorded right here at our studio inside of Ventura Harley-Davidson. If you're looking for a new, pre-owned, or any service done to your bike, Ventura Harley-Davidson is a spot you need to come and check out and stop at. Make sure you tell them that we sent you. And, of course, this episode is brought to you by none other than
Lawtigers.
Lawtigers. If you or anybody you know has ever been injured in a motorcycle accident, the only people to call is Lawtigers at 1-800
Lawtigers.
Lawtigers. Hit him with it, Joe. All right. I'm going to be real. I'm about to blow a fuse right now, boy. I'm about to blow a fuse, man. We keep it real around here, man, and we had a ton, and I mean a ton of extreme technical difficulties, but I appreciate you being patient, man, hanging out with us, and just going with the flow. Going with the flow, man.
I was fully expecting to see a computer fly through a window.
It was about 30 seconds away from doing exactly that, man. Real quick, name?
Carlos.
The details in
El Diablo.
The details in El Diablo is what the Instagram is, but I have we scheduled this, what, 2-3 weeks ago, a month ago or so,
something like
that. And I have followed along with Ride 1K. I'm a Ride 1K person myself, and so I do follow along with Ride 1K in a day, man. And I've been excited to sit down and talk with you and just kind of hear, like, are you mentally sane? Are you know, like, because you have a lengthy history here, man. So before we kind of dive into some of that, though, I kind of, I've mentioned it before. One of my favorite things about a new guest that I don't have a whole lot of experience or background with, or kind of just, I know them on the face, right? I know them from the Instagram stuff, is I get to learn about them. I get to kind of hear a little bit about them. And so before we kind of dive into the root of what, your main thing, a little background with you, man. Like, where you from? How long you been riding? Just so people kind of know who they're talking to.
Yeah, so I was born in L.A., born in the Valley. Moved to L.A. at a young age.
California guy.
Yeah. We grew up till like I was 13 when we moved out of Southern California. We moved from San Fernando, but yeah, we moved around all Southern California.
Okay.
And then we moved to a little town called Mesquite, Nevada.
Mesquite, I've heard of it.
Mesquite, yeah, it's tiny little town. It's easy to pass.
How far from Vegas? Because everyone knows Vegas. How far away from Vegas is that?
So if you're in the middle of the Strip, where everybody knows, probably like an hour and a half north of there.
Okay.
Just on the 15, yeah, you don't even...
So you just keep on down the 50. You just pass Vegas and just keep on going. You'll eventually ride right past Mesquite.
Yeah. Once you stop seeing Vegas lights, it's maybe 70 miles.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And what took you guys out there? I mean, what was...
So when we lived in Highland Park...
I don't know, man. My parents took me. I had no choice in the matter.
Honestly, yeah, it was random, man. Because, when I pulled up to... We lived in L.A., so we were used to the size of L.A., and we moved out to this little town. It had one stoplight.
Oh, wow.
In the whole town.
Wow.
The whole town had one stoplight. Yeah, it was, I think the
population... Was it an actual stoplight, or was it just one of those blinking...
No, it was a real stoplight.
Okay.
Yellow,
stoplight.
Green, and red?
Yeah, yellow, green, and red. But everything else, the whole town was just stop signs. There were no stoplights yet. It was very undeveloped. From my parents' house to open desert... maybe 3 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a better network of like culverts or maybe not culverts, but washes and back roads, river trails. Like the dirt system of transportation was better than the
paved roads and all that.
Roads. Yeah.
So you're 13 when you move out there.
Yeah.
Then. So that's like right high school, man. That's kind of like you dipping your toe into high school, new thing. I mean, that had to be, going from L.A. to what sounds like a desert, just a little, small desert town.
Leaving
I mean,
all
how
your
much
friends.
How much of a adjustment, culture shock kind of was that for? And you got brothers. It sounds like in a small conversation, you have other family and stuff.
So it's three boys in the family.
Okay.
And so I was the middle child. I got an older brother and a younger brother. And so we moved out there. Me and my older brother were just, I feel like we fit in here decently. We fit into the California scene, but once we got out there, we We were the weirdos. My brother had a big ass braided hair, like head from Corn. I don't know if you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he had big old braids. So he immediately picked up the nickname of Snoop Dogg, and then I had a little afro. So, we didn't fit in at all.
I'd imagine there was a little bit of an either adjustment or a little bit of
No, honestly, it just fueled the being different part.
I get you.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Sometimes I think the best way is embrace it.
Right.
You know, sometimes the best way to just head something in or is embrace your different part, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing parents' job, they moved, took you guys out there just to get away from the city. Was there stuff happening over here? Because that's a big move. That's a totally different, like we're plucking everybody out of giant L.A.
Yeah.
And we're moving.
Yeah, I mean, we followed other family members.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We had 2 aunts that had already moved that way.
Gotcha.
I'm not really sure how they found it. How I'm telling you, it's one of those places that unless
What's
you
the
know it's
population
there
now?
I want to say
roughly
20,000.
It's still a small town.
It's probably like one of those things, like kind of like Cal City. You know what I mean? Where it was like the roads are built, the cul-de-sacs. It's like, oh, this place is going to be the new LA, the new Vegas or whatever.
Yeah, they might have.
And then it just kind of, and then you run out of money or investors leave, or you know what I mean? Like Cal City. I mean, you go out there, dude. There's roads everywhere, cul-de-sacs. I mean, but everyone camps there now.
That's
it's all
crazy.
desert. You know, you only have a little city.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this place. I think it might be the opposite, because when we moved there, they had told us that there was like a population cap, that they were not allowing people to move there.
Oh.
They weren't building. They weren't selling land off to. They did not want to grow any bigger.
Oh wow!
And they have gotten bigger, but they haven't gotten bigger in size, but they've gotten better, I guess. Like now they have street lights. Now they have a Walmart now.
Okay.
They got all the.
You go to the store and get milk. It's not delivered on the.
Yeah, it's not glass bottles delivered on the porch anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's to me. I've been born and raised here.
That's
cool. I haven't left here, and I love it here. But I love to leave and see other places as well. So I don't have that kind of same experience of just kind of being plucked from where you just kind of know, and then to a smaller kind of venue or area. So I would imagine it's just a little adjustment, being different, accepting that, was motorcycles in your guys' life then? I mean, because when you go to the desert, boy, you need dirt bikes. I would imagine you need dirt bikes, you need quads, that seems like a good place to have some toys.
Oh, hell yeah. I think a year into moving out there, not even, months into moving out there, my dad bought my older brother and I some 4-wheelers. And we immediately started. We got into a 4-wheeling club because it was a very white town.
I would imagine. No offense or anything, but I would imagine. Yeah,
no, it was very, very racist in those days. I remember.
So it existed. You sensed it. Okay.
I got in fights over it, over being Mexican.
Then the being different part of it for sure. It was more than just being like from LA and we dressed different. We looked different. We were different. That was. I mean.
So it was like probably a homegrown, tight-knit town kind of.
Very much.
Everybody kind of knew each other.
Yeah. The whole town was owned by like 3 or 4 families.
That's what I was going to say. Okay. So it was like this family owned the convenience store, the drugstore, and the gas station.
And they were the street names were named after them. So it was like Levitt Realty or Abbott Wash.
Yeah.
It was all like, those were my teachers too. So
I was going to say, those are actual names. He remembers them.
Yeah.
Abbott sounds pretty white too.
Yeah.
That's tough though, man. That's like real deal stuff, man. I know we talk about, the racism and all that stuff that exists now, but I mean, that sounds like real deal. You said you got into fights over this stuff. Oh,
yeah, for sure. Yeah. There was this dude that really liked to bully. I never got bullied, but they would try it. They would try me until, you get in a few fights in a town like that and you make a name for yourself. They stop messing with you.
Yeah. I feel you.
So I didn't really get too much of that after, but no, going back to the bike part. So we were in this club, a 4-wheeling club called the Brown Riders, because again, we're the very few Mexicans, so
I love it. Embrace it, baby. Embrace it.
No, it's funny. I still have the T-shirt.
Attaboy.
We made shirts.
The Brown Riders.
But yeah, like I was saying, the back road network was a lot better than the paved road. So what we would do every Sunday, we did a Sunday ride every week, and we would go and try to find the cops. And so back then you weren't allowed to ride on the streets with four-wheelers. So we would pack up and then go look for the cops. They'd start chasing us, and then we would spend all of Sunday just getting away from them. Because, you jump into the river, you jump into the wash, and I could be in one part of town and then get to the other side of town without touching a single road. Back then. Now they've closed up a bunch of these washes. They've dammed up rivers, and it's not so easy. And I think the cops have four-wheelers now.
So as much as it sounds like, it's on the surface, like, move from LA to this small town, deal with some of the people, the type of people that are there, and, the all that. It sounds to me, you made the best of it, but it sounds like a good playground that you guys were able to go out, have some fun, do some stuff. I'd imagine shoot a gun or two, just do some good old like shit that you can't do in an area like this. I mean, you hear one gunshot go off anywhere, it's but I'd imagine brothers, family, you had other family there. Sounds like a good playground for you guys to kind of grow up in and get acclimated with that lifestyle a little bit, you know? So four-wheelers, quads, I mean, that's what you guys kind of kicked off with. That's what your dad...
Yeah, that's what they bought us, but I always wanted a dirt bike, and they never bought me one.
What do they say? Too dangerous?
Too dangerous.
And then, ain't much more dangerous than a quad or anything, you know?
I think quads are more dangerous.
Yeah, I've flipped
because once you flip a quad or you roll, that's four tires. That's like a car coming at you. It's a deadly thing.
There's no such thing as low siding a four-wheeler.
No, it's high siding.
You're gonna high side.
It's called high siding or running over your calf.
Yeah. We got in plenty of wrecks on those four-wheelers. They took a beating. And, 13, 14-year-old kids running the bike, running the four-wheelers, they got zero maintenance. They never, those poor things. They're still kicking.
Really?
Well, mine is. I gave my brother back his and told him, hey, here goes your four-wheeler. Go get it running or whatever, because they hadn't ran in forever. But, I got mine back running. But, man, the clutch is all burnt out. It's... Yeah, those poor four-wheelers, we really gave them a beating.
That's what they're meant for, They're meant to have fun, put them to use, If you do the maintenance on them, they last a long time and all that. But, I mean, they're desert toys.
Right.
This is kind of what you're meant to do with them, So it sounds like wheels, clutch and brakes and that type of stuff was introduced to you kind of at a young age in that sense, And did you kind of take was it a love at first grip sort of deal, or was it kind of a...
So I would say anything, even before motors were involved, anything that would go fast, it was my shit. That was my thing. We actually, in Highland Park, there's, I think it's the second steepest hill in California, second only to one in San Francisco.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure it's the second steepest hill in California. And, man, we were like 7 years old, just like barely able to climb up on my dad's bicycle. And we would climb this freaking hill and take turns just going down it.
Bombing down this thing.
Just bombing down this stupid steep hill. It was ridiculous. It's over by...
I like your dad. He was like, go ahead, go down that hill. Just go down as fast as you can.
We made sure to do this when he wasn't looking. Okay. Yeah, no, he would not.
I thought he was encouraging it too.
Hell no. No, we were latchkey kids. So we kind of... Well, for some years, I guess. Yeah, my mom did she did the stay-at-home thing for a little bit, but she eventually went back to work, and that's when we really got to get into some fun times.
I gotcha. Yeah, when the parents are away, the kids will play. That's the way it goes. Yeah, for most of us, I can probably relate to that just as much, because there is something about I guess in anything, there's something about going fast and that adrenaline that just, because I've said it before, I'll say it 100 more times, there is no other, there's no drug. There's nothing that can compare to that adrenaline that you feel when you're either hauling ass, you're kind of or whatever it may be, whether you're on that adrenaline rush that you get. It's hard to get that from anything else out there. Yeah. So I understand the need for speed sense, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm with you on that sense, man. Most of us probably are.
Yeah, it's usually when you get into those situations where you're like, I don't think I'm gonna make it out of this. And then you do.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh fuck, man, that was. You get off and you're shaking and like, fuck, I'm never doing that again. And then you do it again.
And then you're doing it again the next weekend or something like that. Yeah, I know. We know the risks that we take, right? But it's there's something that just in your mind and everything, it just clicks. And that adrenaline rush, it just can't be duplicated. You know, it can't be found in anything else that we do. So wheels, motorcycles, you know, that type of stuff seems to have been introduced to your life at an early age. Dad says no to the motorcycle, or, you know, you're not getting on a dirt bike or anything. What point do you kind of say, like, I'm guessing it's you were old enough now to make your own decision sort of deal, maybe when this came into your life?
Sort of. So my dad, as much as he was anti-motorcycle, anti-dirt bike, because I guess he got in a motorcycle accident when he was young.
Makes sense.
Before we were born. But this was the way he described it. He was wearing a helmet that I think it was like a baseball helmet.
Well, we call him like a brain bucket is what we call him.
Not even that. Dude, it was like, this is late 80s, mid 80s, something like that.
Just something to put on his head, basically. Just something to put on,
like hardly better than like a leather helmet. It was just like this piece of, like, maybe that thin. It's just this tiny little helmet. And so he got in that accident, and he was forever anti-motorcycle. When, you know, me personally, if I get in an accident, I try to learn from it.
Yep.
And then do better next time.
That's good advice.
He was more like, hey, I got on a bike, it led to an accident, I'm not getting on a bike.
Yeah.
So he would always tell us that, hey, stay away from motorcycles. But then one day he got a moped. Again, this is Mesquite. You could get around on a skateboard if you need to. So he got a moped, and man, anything with a motor, I don't care if it looks gay as fuck. If I could bomb down a hill with that little moped, no helmet, because in Mesquite or in Nevada, if you're riding anything under a 50cc, you don't need a helmet, you don't need a motorcycle license, you don't need insurance, you don't need a registration, you don't need nothing. You buy this thing and you go rip around in it.
Okay.
So I was able to ride it, you know, with my driver's with a just regular driver's license. And yeah, man, it was fun. I was like, yo, what if I get something like this but with a big ass motor? And so I started going to the Harley dealer that was in just in Hurricane, Utah.
Okay.
Zion Harley.
Yep.
And so I started going there, and I would just look at the bikes and like, fuck, man. And my mom told me that while I was living with her, there was no way I would have a motorcycle. And, you know,
Mama laid the law down, baby.
Yeah. And she's a scary woman. I to this day.
She sounds like it's yes, but it also sounds like son's got some respect for mama just as much.
For
you
sure.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. Respect or fear to her don't matter. She's got both.
It don't matter which one I got on you, as long as you have one of them.
Either respect me or fear me, one of the two. But yeah, so as soon as I moved out, my brother and I moved out together. We got a house in Mesquite. I think a month later. No, so November, December. So like 2 months later, I bought my first bike. It was January, freezing cold. I had no idea, nothing. I didn't know shit about motorcycles. My brother had given me a ride to the dealer, and I got a Sportster that I had been looking at for, at that point, I think 6 months or something. And I finally convinced them to sell it to me way under value. And but I had shown up, no helmet, no jacket, no gloves. This is January in Utah. It was raining, and the dude's telling me, yeah, if you want to leave it here and pick it up, you know, next week or whatever, it's fine. And I was like, nah, man, I'm taking this home tonight. And he looks at me, he's like, are you sure, man? I just called my wife to come pick me up because I'm not riding in this. And I was like, no, yeah, I'm just gonna ride it to St. George, like 10 minutes, and then I'll leave it there. I'll get a ride to Mesquite, and I'll come back for it later. He's like, all right, cool. And he's leaving, and I was like, hey, hang on, man. can you show me how to turn this thing on?
Oh gosh. I can only imagine the stare he probably gave at you, or the look, or at least what was running through his head probably at that moment.
Yeah, it was. Luckily, he gave me a pretty good rundown. They let me borrow a helmet. My brother let me borrow his jacket, and I got it home, frozen, solid. But yeah,
so this was your first experience on a Harley?
On a motorcycle.
Less the moped, of course.
Less,
but I mean,
yeah, except the moped.
a bigger like.
So like street riding, like for some distance, or
right,
a little
right,
bit of distance.
Yeah, my first experience on anything bigger than a little moped.
Yeah.
Talk about popping a cherry, boy.
Was right, yeah, dude. Right on the
Reminds me of
yeah.
Eric, dude, going on that 1K with you guys. Like, hey, I got a sporty last week, and
Yep.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah. Oh, I got to tell you about him when we get into that.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
1K on a sporty. That sounds miserable.
Oh yeah, we'll dive into that one for sure. I mean, dude, I guess if you're gonna dive in,
Yeah.
I guess that's one way to just go, you know what? But I guess that's what also separates, and that's a good tell sign of like, no, I want this. Like, this is how much I want this. That I'll tell you, like I told Eric, who he's mentioning, the good thing about it is that when you know no better, it's all you do, right? You just do with what, like, I need a jacket. Oh, I didn't know that. I need a helmet too. You don't know any better, so
right.
you just kind of
go
with the flow, you know.
Right
And people, the other ones that do know better, are looking at you like, dude, what the hell are you doing? You know. But when you don't know no better, you just do.
Yeah.
But I think, like, for me, hearing it, like how you went about it, you're like, I'm looking at this bike, 6 months long. You got them down to the price that you wanted to pay. They're like, dude, get this guy out of our hair. You know, get this guy on a motorcycle. And then you're like, can you show me how to start it now? It's raining. I got nothing. I think that's a good, like, there's some meat there to go, man, this guy really wanted this. This is something that he was really after, despite everybody else would have been like, fuck that.
And not only that, like your first riding experience, you probably rode home with a smile on your face from ear to ear, and it's dumping rain. So you're not going to really get much of a worse riding experience than that. And you smiled all the way home on that. You know what I mean? So how can it get any worse? It's only going to get better. You know what I mean? Like wow, this is what it is. Like raindrops hitting you in your teeth. You know. Now it's like, oh man. A full face helmet. Oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, jacket. Oh, this is really nice. You know?
So how old were you when that? How?
I want to say
moving up.
I was either I think I had just turned 20. I think it was my 20th birthday present to myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Diving in, boy. I mean, 20. I think I started riding probably around street riding, 18, 19 years old, street bike. You know, so around the same time.
And what kind of bike was that?
Sportster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Sportster 883R. I know 7 with 1,000 miles on it.
Brand new then.
Brand new, man.
Brand new.
Somebody had, I'm guessing, done that program. Yeah, I think they were doing that program where you trade in a less than a year old Sportster and then you get all the value back or something.
Okay.
So
they had incentive for people to come and buy something else and stuff.
Yeah,
like
I don't know I don't think they do that anymore, do they?
I doubt it.
They used to do that for a long time. You buy a brand new Sportster and if you trade it in within a year, they'll give you 100% of what you paid for it.
I mean, I like the sound of that program simply because for most people, they believe that the Sportster platform is, if you're gonna, if Harley or whatever that's the starter platform or whatever. And the consensus usually is that most people kind of end up doing that because they're like, oh, this was good to start, but it's not enough. I need,
it kind of is actually a pretty good program because what it does is also, like you said, it bites somebody into getting a sporty. Like, oh yeah, you know what? I'll try this out. Mm-hmm. Oh, I could trade it in a year. I'll just get a brand new Sporty. Like, bullshit, you're going to get an ST or something.
Yeah, good for the dealership.
So now the dealership just gave you 100% back, but they just sold you a bike for double the amount. You know what I mean, too. So it's kind of a good.
It's not about.
It's a pretty smart idea.
Marketing idea.
You know, anybody that buys that Sporty is going to come sell it back to you for 100% the next year.
Yeah. I would. Day 364, give me my money back.
Yeah, I would go do it just to do it.
20,000 miles on it.
Yeah, exactly, man. So, I mean, that sounds like a diving in way of buying your motorcycle, of, kind of getting on the Harley platform. And so from there, where does your riding kind of take off to from there? Like, how do you start? Is this your daily rider? Is this your commuter? Is this your fun toy? Like, what is this bike for you at that moment?
So I had bought it not really having a plan for it. I know I wanted a motorcycle. I wanted to ride it, and Mesquite was a great town where your commute. I'm telling you, you could get around on a skateboard. I used to, you take a bicycle to work after having bought my Harley, and I had a brand new car. Like, I had means of getting to work, but it felt like a waste of time to get in the car or like to put on my helmet. I would just ride a bicycle.
I feel
but no, I had bought the Sportster to get around town, get out of town, go fast.
I feel you.
I got my first ticket the day after I bought the bike.
Attaboy. Attaboy. That's what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
man.
so they got me for speeding and for no motorcycle license. So I was like, man, everybody's always talking about riding dirty for years, and I did it for one day.
You could ride dirty for years, but not speeding.
Yeah, I was trying to do it all. I was trying to ride dirty, do wheelies, speed.
Oh, so you were like, okay, I feel you.
Yeah.
So so how long did you have that one? I mean,
I still have it.
You still have it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Still have it to this day.
There's something about your first bike.
That's that one bike that if I lose everything in my life, my house, anything, if I'll sell everything in my life before I sell that bike.
Respect, man. I would imagine that's because there's a big sentimental tie to it. There's a big meaning for you to have that thing and keep it, man. Because we're gonna start diving into this 1K stuff, and I would imagine that's why it would be that there was the start.
Yeah,
that was kind of the beginning of the never end, so to speak.
The spark that lit the fire.
That's exactly it.
In your Sporty, is it just kind of you keep it stock, or?
I wish. So I think back and I'm like, fuck, man. You always have that first bike that you mess up, or like that first car that you want to make it better and you end up just fucking it all up. And not that it's terrible, but I ended up I started converting it into like a cafe racer.
So that was my next question. Are you going to convert it to a cafe racer or a bobber or something like that?
It's already kind of almost done being cafe racered out.
Okay.
So I chopped the frames, or like chopped
the rear fender.
Right, and then
the rear struts.
Yeah, I internally wired it. Like the whole main harness is internally wired.
So you have like the Saddleman tail section or the cafe tail section?
I have the Rolling Sands.
Okay,
yeah,
but you have the tail
Sands
section. That's why you're obviously cutting the struts. My cousin's building one right now. That's why he just put the Race Tech front end, the Rusty Butcher Race Tech front end on it, and Saddleman seat and all that. They're pretty bitching, dude.
Yeah,
I'm kind of like, you'll see it, dude. It'd be
a
a pretty dope little like TR build, man. Something like that on a hill climb or something, dude. That'd be so awesome, man. Up a hill climb, dude. That'd be awesome, man. Fun.
Yeah, no, so I did all that cafe racer stuff, and then I got with Hammer Performance up in Idaho, I believe, and just told them, give me everything, give me all of it. Sky's the limit. I just don't want to bore the motor out. Like I don't want to bore the cases, but I'll do everything else, just as long as it's not. I don't have to send off my motor to get machined. So yeah, they ended up sending me a whole bunch of stuff. I was a little disappointed with the powers, but then again, I don't know. Dynos are different anywhere you go.
Yeah.
So because I was expecting 115 horses out of it, I got 102, which
that's
for a
pretty
Sportster,
hefty on a Sporty.
yeah, the thing had like 43 horses with it stock.
Yeah.
Because it was an 883. So when I did the 1250 kit, had the heads. I sent him the heads, and they revalved and redid everything. Put some compression releases in it because it's just got some crazy compression now. Yeah, pretty much just did everything that Hammer Performance could do to it, and now that thing's a monster. But it hasn't ran in a few years.
I feel you. Yeah. So did you do any 1Ks on this bike?
On the Sportster?
Yes.
No, never.
So you hadn't dipped your toe into kind of getting into that 1K kind of thresh or that riding style on the Sportster.
Not on the Sportster.
This was just more of a have fun, go fast, wheelie, look, kind of cool looking bike, a little toy, so to speak, Yeah. So where does the 1Ks then kind of start to kick in? I mean, you bought that bike at 20, and then obviously you bought another bike. What was the next bike then that you bought?
The V-Strom.
Okay, which is what you said you rode in today.
Okay. That's the one I've had for. I think I got that at 22.
And what type of engine or what kind of? I mean, give me a little breakdown of the platform that what that is.
So it's called the V-Strom because it still has a V. It has a V twin engine, but it's not a 45 like the Harleys are, but a 60, I believe.
So it's way more like okay.
Yeah. So it's it'll rev up a lot higher than, typical Harleys of 5,500 RPM, and that's usually your red line. I think this one goes to 10,500.
Wow.
So still a V-twin, still a lot of torque, more torque than really horsepower, but more high revving V-twin.
And is this a Honda?
No, it's a Suzuki.
Yeah. Suzuki. Okay. I'm trying to wrap my head around what it looks like, because I believe I've heard the V-Strom name, but I can't put it. Is it street bike-esque? No,
it's like
cruiser?
The Pan America?
Yes.
It's that.
Gotcha.
But smaller motor, and Japanese.
Okay. Ain't nothing wrong with Japanese. Those things go forever.
Yeah.
Forever, man.
Yeah.
So you buy this bike then as a longer distance. What was your reasoning for like we all want 800 bikes, but I mean we all want to have 2 bikes, but what was your reason for like, okay, I want this style or this platform of bike? I mean, what was the move for?
So I was commuting at the time. I was commuting on my Sportster to I lived in Copperas Cove, Texas, and I worked in Fort Hood, Texas. So it's like 30 minutes plus. And I was doing.
So you're not in Mesquite anymore, then? No. You're out of state. You're doing something else. Okay.
So I enlisted in the Army.
Gotcha.
And I moved out to, that was my duty station, Fort Hood. And so I'm commuting in my Sportster, and it was fine, but it was a 30-minute ride during the winter. Like Texas winters are pretty brutal. It was either freezing, or it was raining, or there was hail. It was crazy weather. So in the mornings, my 30-minute commute was almost all country road. It was not really stop and go traffic where you could like stop and kind of warm up a little bit. Mm-hmm. It was, you're just moving for 30 minutes. And so when I would get to the first stoplight every single day, I was holding my exhaust. I was like squeezing the exhaust, trying to get feeling back in my fingers. And so I wanted something that would protect me a little more from the weather. Something with a windshield would be nice. Yeah. Because, 30-minute commute on a Sportster every day, you could do it if you're in the city and you're 45 miles an hour. Yeah. This was country roads, 70 miles, 60 miles an hour, through countryside where it's like it's cold. Mm-hmm. So I wanted something, but I wasn't going to drive a car. I had a car, but I wasn't going to drive a car to work, because in the Army, man, the more capable you are of something. So let's say you have a truck, they will use your truck. They'll say, "Hey, this dude has a truck. Hey, Gonzalez over here, his car fits 5 people. Let's all load
in his."
And I didn't want to be that guy.
I feel you.
So I was always on my bike.
Boy.
I had the commanding officers all convinced that I didn't know how to drive a car.
Hey, you went deep with it too, then.
Yeah. Well, nobody had ever seen me in one, so
I feel you.
It wasn't hard to convince them.
I gotcha. So you get this V-Strom now, and you got a little bit more wheels under you now, I guess, a little more comfort, maybe we can call it. And so where does these 1Ks kind of start kicking in for you? Like where? Let me backtrack one quick second. Where did you find out about 1Ks? Like what was your introduction to this type of ride?
Fuck, man, that's a good question.
Because you've done a lot, and so I mean there was.
When was your first one?
So my first one, the first one in the books, because I had been doing them I had never heard of the Ride 1K thing. I just like to ride. I wasn't really trying to get any recognition for it, but I would tell other people about it. Like, oh yeah, I rode from Texas to Vegas the other day, and they're like, what the fuck? and so finally somebody said like, you should go on that Ride 1K page, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I wasn't really into the social media too much, and somebody showed me the page. And I said, "Oh shit, I could do this.
I could get recognized for some of the shit I'm doing.
I could sort of memorialize my adventures. That's great.
Yeah, some kind of sentimental something to hold, keepsake or something.
Yeah, you could look back and like, oh yeah, that's the write up I did for that ride. Damn, I remember that story because you do these rides and a lot of it is about being in the moment, but it's also nice after the ride to look back and be like, damn, remember that day it poured on us?
Yep, 100%.
Or you remember that day we got a flat tire halfway through in the middle of nowhere. You know, it comes with the stories, and usually all the hardships, they end up being the best part of the story.
100%, buddy. 100%. And that's
where you get your connection and your good times and, you know, everyone working together, and then you get out of that situation. It's like, wow, man, we did it. You know, and you're like Ray said, you're on the road, man. And it's like,
yeah. The 1K is, you know, some people will, you know, give you the like, oh man, I don't need to prove that, or I don't need to do that, or I don't need to, you know, say, I've done that before. And it's not, for me, it's never been about like, hey, look at me, I've done this. You know, I got the award to prove it. You know, it's never been about that. It's been about everything that you said, the ride itself and what has happened on that ride. I haven't been nearly as many. I'll let you say how many you've been on. I don't want to be the one to drop that, but I haven't been on nearly as many of them. But I know that I can remember each one, and I remember who I went with, and I remember where we went, and I remember the things that happened on the road. That the story, the ride, the journey, the adventure, the not knowing what's going to happen, all of that is why I do it. You know, why I've done them. You know, not for accolades, not for any of that stuff. It's for my own thing, but it's also a nice little like recognition of like, yeah, because not everybody can say that they've rode 1,000 miles in 24 hours. It's a daunting thing, man. It's a lot to do, you know. Joe, what's the farthest? I don't think you've done a 1K with me, but like how many miles have you put down just in a day most? I mean, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I mean, we went, you know, wherever. I mean, whatever takes it in a day. I mean, I'm down for, you know. But we went to day going back that one day, you know.
Yeah, so 400 miles, you know. So, but even when you put 400 miles, you know, Carlos, you put 400 miles, you know. When you get 400 or 500 miles, you're like, that was a long day.
It's a good day.
Double that. Yeah. And then you really start to kind of test your stuff, you know.
I mean, if you're, you know, a good 600, I think that's a good 8 hours of riding about, you know.
600 is the breaking point. 800 miles on a 1K is when you're like, oh,
that's
man.
What I'm saying. And right when you get to, I mean, even in between 4 and 6, that's where you're kind of like,
I'm sure.
I'm feeling it, man. Yeah. Especially, I mean, on my Dyna, and, you know, I can only imagine. But.
So someone tells you about this page. You kind of, it sounds like you're already, are you doing mentally, you're doing like, or personally, and then also recognizing it mentally that you are doing 1,000 miles in this time span? Or are you, do you make that connection at all when you find the page? Like, I'm already doing this, or
not? Yeah, I hadn't really thought about timing my rides at the time, because so when I was, sorry, let me back up a little bit, because when I was living in Copper's Cove, I used to go to San Antonio a lot. It's like 2.5 hours, and we would do that every weekend. So my wife and I got really, really close with this family that we had in San Antonio. So when we moved out, when we got out of the Army and came back to Vegas, I missed them a lot, and I'm not gonna fly there because I
got a motorcycle.
Yeah, I'm like, I got a motorcycle. Why am I gonna fly there? Why am I gonna drive a car there? So I would go pretty often. When I got out of the Army, I went right into school, and every time I had a long weekend, say like spring break or winter break, summer break, it was always I'm going to go see my cousins in San Antonio. And so I was doing it all the time. And then I heard about this 1K thing, and I was like, 1K, 1,000 miles. That's like Vegas to San Antonio. I could do that. 24 hours. I do that anyway. I do it. I try to do it in, like, I'll leave in the morning, and I want to be there by night. I was doing it anyway.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this challenge and see if I can do it. Because I had never actually sat down, timed it. You know, I didn't know how many hours it was taking me. And so I did the first one. I don't remember.
Was that your first one from Vegas to there? You're like, I'm going?
I'm pretty sure. I'd have to go back. Luckily, the guy that runs the page, Curtis, he keeps everything. It's crazy how organized he is.
Ramble's a good man.
Yeah, he was sending me a bunch of like fun little numbers, like what I've done so far, what I did last year in miles and time and all that. He's actually telling me I should give you shit for not doing a Ride 1K last year.
Thanks, Ramble. As you should be giving me shit. Send it through the guy that has the most to give me shit. I appreciate that, Ramble. Thanks very much.
Well, because you've knocked out one a year for the past few years.
And even my wife.
But last year we got busy last year.
Yeah, my wife busted my balls too. She said, "You didn't do one this year," and rightfully so. You know, you should bust my balls if I didn't, because I do like to have that little like, I did one this year. You know,
keep the streak going.
Yeah. Well,
last year you did yours like December. It was it was cold. It was like last minute. I remember it was like it after Christmas?
Yeah.
It was right after
December
Christmas
30th.
Before New Year's.
I did it December 30th.
Yeah.
I was like down to the wire to do it, like to get it in for the year. But I mean, let's stop. How many have you done?
Officially, I've done with the Ride 1K. Last year I did 57.
Last year?
Yeah.
57 1Ks?
Yeah. Just last year.
Last year.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Plus the 5.
He's not. He's actually he's an actual because Ramble does. I love that Ramble runs this page the way that he does, because it's a business, but it's also it's a challenge. One of his sayings and his slogans is, and I love it: "Put your miles where your mouth is." That is you talk that you ride. Here's your opportunity to do that. But one of the things that Ramble does, exactly what Carlos said, is he has good documentation. He has a lot, he keeps like good historical type of stuff. Yeah. He keeps that stuff, because I think that's important, because in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, however long this thing rolls for him, it's a good record. It's a good to look back and have that history of stuff, man. So 57 last year?
Yeah, so that's the official count.
So that's just that's off the gate 57,000 miles.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's last year.
Yeah.
That's not like overall, because there's you correct me if I'm wrong. There's obviously more than 57. That was for last year.
Yeah, and I had done like what you've been doing, one a year for the previous 5 years. So my official count's at 62, but so on my very last ride, I ended up breaking my phone. My phone is toast, and so I lost 4 rides. So
you hadn't submitted them.
Hadn't submitted.
Gotcha.
I don't do the cloud thing.
You were keeping. I don't
do the cloud. I don't trust it.
Lesson learned.
And
Lesson learned.
Nope.
and you have that much time. He didn't even trust you.
No, I wouldn't want him to count him.
And
I wouldn't
Ramble,
want him to count
I'm
him.
joking.
Yeah, Ramble is.
I'm joking.
As much as but for I know, but as much as is like he's done 57 of them. He did these other 4. It's more of just like that's the process.
I highly doubt he needs to just add 4 more to his 57.
Yeah, seriously,
Right.
seriously.
So what made you? Are these just rides that you just happen to go on, and then you just decided, let's do a 1K while I'm doing them, or were you dedicated? Like, you know what? I want to do another one.
No,
I want to do another 1K, and just chose a destination to make that a 1K.
So, yeah, more the second one. So I had started out the year with the intention of doing 52. So that was my goal for the
So you had a goal.
One a week. I had a goal. Beginning of the year.
Are you married?
I am.
Hey, shout out to your wife, boy, because that is one understanding wife, boy.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, 1K in a day, he's only gone for 24 hours.
Dude, that's what I told her.
That is man talk right there, boy. That's what I said, Yeah. But there's gas, there's time away, there's this, it's a commitment, boy. Come on, I got a wife that is and I'm sure your wife is probably the same way. That's a lot of miles on the road. The worry level of a wife when you're doing that type of stuff, whether you go on a ride down to Neptune's Net, your other half is always back of their mind. Is he okay? Is he all right? He's on a motorcycle, Yeah. Carlos over here doing 1,000 miles every damn week, the risk is 10 times,
Yeah, it wasn't so much the distances, it was how far I was away from home. Because a lot of these rides, I would do 1,000 one day, 1,000 the next day, and then
so you were moving yourself further kind of away from home, maybe.
Yeah, when I was doing everything inside of 500 miles and back, like 500 miles out, 500 miles back, she was fine with it. Didn't worry her at all, because I had been farther. I was going to San Antonio all the time. I'd been to Oregon. I had done trips like that in the past before last year, but when I started going to Canada and going to Florida,
crossing borders, boy.
Yeah, she was like, oh fuck. And plus the phone I had didn't have service in Canada. So yeah, so I couldn't text her that I was back or that I was alive, I mean. So I would just get onto Wi-Fi's at like Tim Hortons, like, hey, I'm good. I'm gonna keep moving towards Alaska. I'll talk to you tomorrow or whatever.
I'm gonna take a quick minute. I don't know your wife. Shout out, girl. Because I mean, legit, that's, you know, you got to have somebody on the other end of it that's understanding and understands how big of a passion and how much this is for you, what it does for you. Not, you know, because I can't imagine you're doing this just simply for personal accolades and just like, look at me sort of deal. There's something that it does for you. There is something that it does inside of you mentally, all of that stuff for you to do 57 in a year's time. And how many total? I got to ask, like 57 just this last year, 2024, right?
Plus there's 5
plus
for
the
the year.
4 or 5 that you didn't get. You'd lost your phone, but you had already done 4 or 5 years worth prior to that. So do you have a number? Do you know what your total is?
Yeah, so I was doing like what you were doing with 1 a year for 5 years. So that would have been 5 more. So 5 plus the 57 plus the 4 that I missed that got lost. I mean, what is that? 65. 66. Fuck, my math is bad. 57 plus 4. 61 plus 5, 66.
66.
Yeah.
So what? Okay. So what was it? I got to ask. My curiosity killed the cat. You know, you do 1 a year, like most sane people probably would. Carlos, you do 1 a year for 4 or 5 years, and just, you know, and then 2024 comes around, and what is it that kind of like? What was the? I want to do 1 a year for this year.
So. Back in 2022, end of 2022, we were in San Antonio, and like the whole family was together. We were visiting our family in San Antonio, and I ended up getting shot. And,
damn.
Yeah, and it was pretty bad.
Because you were in a white town, or
no?
They were like, "Look at this Mexican." No, San Antonio is very Mexican. It was a bar fight thing. I was trying to prevent my cousin, or trying to de-escalate a situation between my cousin and some guy, and my cousin and my uncle were able to duck behind some cars, and I was just out in the open, and he saw I was with them, so he shot me.
Wow.
Dude.
And yeah, but it was pretty bad.
How many times did you get shot?
10 times.
Damn, boy.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Well, they found 10 casings.
50 Cent up in the house. Damn, boy.
Damn, boy. That's a real deal thing right there, man.
That's a clip.
Yeah. Because they found 10 casings at the scene. We tried counting the injured. I don't know how many times I was hit. I mean, it was a lot.
Are you like in a critical state I mean 10 times, there's a lot of shit that you can hit, a lot of vital organs that can hit in 10 different shots.
Yeah. Yeah. Know? So they ended up so they took me to the hospital. They ended up cutting out parts of my intestine. I lost my gallbladder. Had my arm was all destroyed.
What year is this?
22.
22. Okay.
Yeah. And December of 22. It was almost New Year's. So beginning 2023,
2 years,
end of 2022,
a couple years ago.
It's been 2 years, 2 and a couple months, 2 and a couple months.
Wow.
So that happens, and so all of 2023 for me was surgery after recovery from surgery, after operation, it was just a year full of bullshit and recovering from bullshit. So
man, physically, I bet you that's one thing, but mentally, between the ears, boy, that's yeah. Wow. I'm sorry. Go ahead, man. I was just thinking. I'm like, damn, dog. That's a. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it was a rough year.
I would imagine.
So the whole time, I'm just like, fuck, man. I wish I could get back on the bike. That's all I was thinking about. Because, like I said, I don't really drive cars. For me, every day I ride. I ride to work. I ride back. On the weekends, if I can, I ride somewhere. If I have to go pick up something from the hardware store, if it won't fit on my bike, I'll try really hard to figure out a way to get it on the bike. And then if it just absolutely physically can't happen,
Like you're picking up a refrigerator, you ain't going to the bike.
Right. But if it's a compressor, if it's a small compressor, yay big. I've done it before. I've actually hauled half of a pig from Texas on a bike.
Yeah, mad
big ass ice chest. Like the ice chest was like wider than the bike. It was anyway. So I'm recovering. I'm in these recoveries, and man, all I can think about is getting back on the bike.
Wow.
And I had just bought this Diablo. I had just bought it. I had broken it in.
So you bought the Diablo before this had happened?
Like 3 weeks before.
Wow.
So I bought it a few weeks before, broke it in, and got it ready because I was trying to start a YouTube channel in 2023. 2023. I was trying to start a YouTube channel, and I was going to just dedicate the whole year to building up the bike and, doing cool little, I don't know, anything.
Right.
Something fun.
Yeah.
So I get shot. I'm doing the recovery, and I couldn't stop thinking about riding, and I would tell stories about riding to my family, friends and family, and I started noticing that all the best stories that I would tell, my favorite stories, were all the ones that I was going to Texas or I was going to Oregon, or I rode up to Oregon for the 2017 eclipse. It's just all the stories that I was doing. That I was telling were either I was really far away from home, I was in a 1K, I was in a fucked up situation. It was something, it was always something related to long distance. So then I got to thinking, man, what if next year I do one of these rides that I keep talking about? What if I do one every week? What if I do? Well, at first it started, what if I do one a month? Because, I didn't just jump into that.
Joe's like, what?
Because if I thought of something like that, I'm just thinking to myself, I'm just thinking like exactly what he said. Like, you know what? Why don't I do one of those a week for the next year? Like, if I said that to myself, I'd probably have like 12 beers already. And I've been singing country songs and then in my garage, like, hey man, dude,
this sounds like a great idea.
One of them, let's do one a week. Like, yeah, man. Like, dude, you did it. You said that sober? Like,
no, I was probably in a hospital bed on Dilaudid, honestly.
But
hey, man, credit, bro. I mean,
well, yes, dude. Sober, but also like in a state where physically like rehabilitating and all that stuff. You haven't been on a motorcycle in quite some time, and like you're saying, everything the stories I'm telling, the things that I'm talking about, it's all taking me back to this this style of ride.
Yeah.
And I can make the connection, but I'm with Joe, man. That's a decision that you're making.
That's
a bottle of tequila
exactly. It's 11:30 at night.
Yeah. And then the next morning you wake up and your buddies are like, dude, do you remember when do you even know what you said you wanted to do last night? Yeah. What did I say? I was going to ride 1,000 miles every week. I said that? That's that kind of moment.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, let's do a 1K. Like, no, let's do one a week.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Wake
up the next day like, no.
So man, I connect the dots. Now hearing like what happened.
Yeah.
How you being off of your bike for a year. It sounds like basically a whole year while you're going through all this stuff. And you recognizing that that's where I had my best time, like doing that style of ride. I can understand the level of like, I want to commit to this. I want to, maybe there's also a part of it where you're like, I want to get back what I missed for that kind of that whole year. I feel like there's a little bit of that kind of in there.
For sure. Yeah, even almost like, like what you said about how an event like that, it could get into the head.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, a lot of the things I was thinking was, fuck, man, I could have died. I mean, honestly, I probably should have died. But now that I didn't, let's really capitalize on this second opportunity, and I'm just gonna ride till the wheels fall off, and I'm gonna get all my riding done. So if I do die, next year, 2 years, 3 years from now, fuck it. At least I got to do all those things that I would have normally saved to do one every year, maybe two every year.
If you have the time, man, and you have the dedication and want to do it, man, do it.
Yeah, I don't know if I had the time. Hey, you should see my house, man. It's a mess.
You made the time, though. You know,
yeah, I made the time for sure.
You know, that's all that matters, man. You're sitting here with a smile on your face. You're living and doing what you want to do. I mean, that's for me. That's the key to happiness, right there, man.
Yeah. It's a giant respect, and also like, it's a respect thing for me to hear you say it, because a lot of until you're unfortunately put into a situation where you're like, man, I could have been pushing up daisies, you know. I could have been 6 feet below pushing up rose petals and stuff. Until you experience something like that, then unfortunately it sometimes takes stuff like that for you to go, I need to live life. I need to like we run through the gauntlet every day, every week. We're constantly on the hamster wheel, you know, with kids and jobs and this, and that's just a job. But then there's living life, and like, so that when you're at the end of it, because fortunately we all know, you know, there's 2 things in life that are guaranteed: death and taxes, boy. Yeah. And when you're at the end of it, I would imagine, I know I want to look back and go, did I live, or did I just kind of like, did I just run on the hamster wheel? Yep. And it takes, unfortunately, now that's an extreme. Sometimes it's not, you don't need to get blasted 10 times. You don't need to have 50 cents out moment. But I mean, there needs to be something where you go, man, life is short. Life is precious. And it sounds like this was your moment this was the collaborating moment where you go, I want to live my life. And I want to do the things that I love to do. And that's what sets you on this journey, man. That's what sets you off, man. So, dude, insane. So 24 comes along.
The hard part, too, is, I mean, yeah, you went through it, but the hard part is the recovery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you went through surgeries and pain pills and, like, the doctors, you know, and ups and downs of your weight going down and up, and you know what I mean, and all that. It messes with your head. And
you have kids, man?
It could really get
one on the way.
Oh, congratulations, man!
Thank you.
Get you, man, mentally depressed and stuff like that. You know, it's a rough thing, man, being locked up in your room and not being able to do things that you normally do or provide or fix things for your wife that you normally could fix.
Exactly.
That's why
it really messes with the man's head, man.
You don't have kids, and you're off for. I mean, I got young kids. Hard. He's got kids, and for me, I would go, damn, man, if I wouldn't be able to pick up and play my kid, pick him up, or roll around with them, or do the things that I'm able to do because of what happened. That's hard, man.
Yeah, that's rough,
man. So. They're out here buying Harley-Davidsons right now.
Oh, nice.
I always like watching right here, man, because we get to see people kind of just watch and look at the bikes. So 24 kind of rolls along then, and you're now like, I want to do this now. I had a year. This is what happened this past year, and you decide, I want to do one a year.
Yeah.
Does your wife look at you like you're nuts?
Yes.
I would imagine.
I think it was just after saying it for I don't think the first time I said it, I don't know if even I believed it. Like, I'm going to do one a week.
It's an ambitious goal, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, if I had nothing else going on, yeah, okay, cool. I could probably get it done. It wouldn't be too much of a stress. But, when you're working full time and you got family obligations, I did it once a week for a reason, because that's all I could afford. I couldn't do it on a Friday because I work. I couldn't do it on a Monday because I work. I couldn't. And then, Sundays, I had to have some time with my wife because, there's most of it was spent recovering from the 1K. But, it was like, that's pretty much every free day that I had for a year was a 1K.
On your motorcycle.
So after doing so many of them, like you said, you're just like, I can only afford, and one day, with time and whatever it is. Do you kind of get to a point where now, like, all right, it's going to take me this much gas. This is going to be my fuel for my body. Like, I need this much water. Like, do you start getting that in your head? Do so you're like, it's planned now.
Listen, Joe, I've only done 3, maybe I think 3. And just in those 3, I've learned, like, pack this, pack that. Right. It costs me this much in gas. Like, right. I go trade in on my aluminum cans and go get some gas money, So I would imagine
you kind of have a little bit of a plan.
By the end of January 24, you're like, I got a plan. I got a little
10 a.m. I'm eating beef jerky. You know what I mean? Like 1 o'clock, I'm drinking water.
Oh, for sure.
You know?
Yeah, I already had I had my dedicated road snacks.
Yes, exactly.
I would do like one meal, usually every morning was the same exact meal at McDonald's. Then I would kind of snack, and then around mile 750 is when I would have dinner. Okay. And then from there, it was, I'm pretty much almost home.
Man, you should have got McDonald's to sponsor you every morning.
That'd be nice. Yeah, I started racking up points. I had the app. But yeah, every morning or every Saturday morning, it was 2 sausage egg McMuffins and a hash brown. That was every week for a year, pretty much.
So you've done 50. I mean, you did at least 52. You did 57 this year, and I mean, how do you? Are you kind of running some same routes? Are you going different? Are you taking a different route every time? Because I've done 1Ks, and you have to plan a little bit. You got to know, like, okay, there is a gas stop. Because sometimes you ride in the middle of nowhere. I've been on a 1K where I rode around Area 51, and I had to luckily I did, and my buddy that I went with is really good at that stuff. But he had to make sure that, okay, we're taking this route, which is in the middle of nowhere, that there's a gas station, and there's something along the way for you to be able to stop, get gas. You need gas,
right.
That's what I would need.
How much of these are you revisiting? Are they different every time?
I did a couple of them repeated where it was one of those I have an event on Saturday, and that's normally when I would do my rides. I have an event I got to do on Saturday night, so I'm just going to do an overnight ride after work, get the 1K out of the way, just do it real quick so that I can go to a wedding or so I could go to whatever. God
damn, you were dedicated. Holy crap.
I still have family. I still got
boss,
friends.
I need to be off on time today because I need to go right after work and do this 1K because I got a wedding tomorrow I got to be at. I got to make the Carucci board or whatever it is. What? Are you kidding me? Dude, I give you props, bro.
Yeah, man.
That is dedication right there.
Yeah.
Mad dedication.
Yeah, it was nice when I could incorporate the 1Ks into the rides. My cousin in Phoenix, it was her birthday, and they invited me. I was like, yeah, say less. I'll be there on Friday. So I ended up, Phoenix isn't far enough from Vegas, so I ended up going to Phoenix, dropping off my, whatever I didn't need, and then I'll be back in a few hours. Just keep going to Blythe.
What time are dinner reservations? I'll be back.
Gosh, man. It's about it. I mean, that is being about it and committed to it. And wow. Okay.
And you're not racing time.
Oftentimes, no.
Sometimes maybe on a couple or whatever, but for the most part, you're just trying to get your 1,000 miles within that time.
Right. There was one time that I decided to go with a bunch of friends, not on the 1K. So they weren't doing a 1K. I was doing a 1K, but we were all kind of going to the same destination. They were going LA to Salt Lake, and I was going Vegas to. I ended up going to the border of Idaho, and so when we came on the way back, we stopped in Mesquite because that's where they were staying, and I still had 100 miles or 75 or so miles left. So we get to Mesquite, and I could not leave the party. We were partying. We were at the Casablanca. It was a good time. It was a really good time, and so I ended up leaving with man, I had to pick up these 80 miles in 50 minutes. That one was a race for the time. And in fact, he actually posted that one on one of my record breakers, because I guess that ride was a record breaker. I didn't realize. Wow. I think it was or maybe it wasn't a record breaker. It was just a milestone, 40 rides or something for the year.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, it's funny in the timestamp. It's 23 hours and 28 minutes or 58 minutes.
Oh, it's your longest one. Then,
yeah, that was a race against the clock. But it was only.
But you had a good time in between.
Good time. Yeah, that was a fun time. But oftentimes it was just going back to the repetition. That one was a repetitive one because. We were in Salt Lake. I'm like, well, I've been to the border of Idaho before. Mm-hmm. You get into Mallard City or whatever, the first little town in Idaho, and that's 500 miles from my house. So it was perfect. You just there and back. Those would be the ones that I would do when I just had to get a 1K done.
Gotcha.
To not lose, to not miss a ride. And but no, most of them were either somewhere new or a different way of taking that similar route. So like one that I did a lot was going up towards like Yosemite, that road that takes you up towards Yosemite, crossing the going over the overpass or the pass, I mean, and then coming back down the Central Valley. I did that one a lot, but it was always a different route. So I did the Yosemite route, then I did the next one, the Sonora Pass, and then I went up a little further and did the next pass, and I went up a little further and did the next pass. So
gotcha.
you know, they were similar rides, but I would say every pass was different.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So I mean, you did that many this year. What has been? I gotta ask, like, because you have stories for days. I know you have adventures.
Yeah, for sure.
I know there's things you've seen that most people may not ever see on their lifetime, just because of the amount of. Because when you're on the road for that long, there are things that you will only see by being on a motorcycle. You know, the smells, the senses, the feel, all that stuff. So what has been probably your most kind of maybe memorable one? What's the one that kind of like sticks out? Well, either whether it's the destination, the ride. I know the 23 hours and 58 one. That one seems like I got to get this in. But I mean, has there been any that have really like, that's the one that is maybe not near and dear, but just I like that one? I
would say it's one of the, I would say, most routine rides. It wasn't even kind of like the very like down to the last minute one where it was honestly, it was just a ride from Vegas to Idaho. It's not a very special ride.
Just a ride from Vegas to Idaho, Joe. It was just a ride from Vegas to Idaho. Nothing. Just another ride.
Just going out for drinks.
Yeah, just going out for a little steak.
Yeah, no. What my favorite ride is actually a story. Is a route just like
beers
that.
In my buddy's garage, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say my favorite ride of the year was one of those. It was. So my brother, the one that rode with me to LA this weekend, he lives in Ely, Nevada. It's like this, it's just smaller than Mesquite. It's like this tiny little town, but it happens to be on the route to Idaho Falls, and my brother and I, like, we're really close, and he just got back into riding. I don't know if it has something to do with like because what happened to me before. Like the reason I got into doing like I decided to do so many 1Ks. He had a similar event. He didn't get shot, but a life-threatening event. He had it 1 month before I did. Wow. Like the day he got out of the hospital was the day I got into the hospital.
Wow.
So yeah, so we both had pretty fucked up events, and I think he was also like, "Yo, it could be lights out at any point. You know, I got to start living, or start having more adventures." So. So he got back into riding, and so now I've been wanting to get. I want to ride with him all the time. That's
cool.
Like, we were close. We were like, it was the same one that we would like go run from the cops on 4-wheelers. So now we're just like, hey, obviously we're a little older. We're not running from the cops, but we like having these adventures together. And my favorite ride was one of the ones that we went up to Idaho Falls for a burger. We went to Culver's. Not even a crazy burger, but on the way, it was snowing. There was a mountain pass. I want to say this was December. It was the weekend before my very last 1K of the year, and I was trying to test out this route because I was going to end up taking that route to Canada, and so we go up to Idaho Falls. It ends up snowing on us. Like, I haven't ridden in snow all that much, even though I've been up north several times. Man, it's just, I don't know if you've ever done it. It's such a cool experience, especially if it's at night. If it's at night and it's snowing, bro, it's like.
I've got caught in snow, not intentionally like riding in snow out in Arizona, but I wouldn't say I was like overly thrilled about it. It was cold.
I've ridden dirt bikes in snow. That's fun. I don't know about my Harley down in.
On the road, I mean, depending how heavy, obviously it is, but for the most part, it's kind of just like rain because it hits the ground and it turns into water on the ground. So you're riding in rain, But the little bit of snow that I did hit, it was for like the first 5 minutes, I was like, whoa, this is cool. And then I was like, oh, fuck this shit. I'm cold, but to each their own, Carlos. To each their own.
No, it's like you're driving through Star Wars kind of thing. It's like, then the heavier the snowfall is, it's just like you're going through a galaxy of stars.
Yeah. And that's why I was like, for the first 5 minutes, I was like, oh, this is and it was probably because it was the first time that I've done it. Maybe the second, third time I'd be like, fuck that shit. I did it. I don't want to do it, But the first time you do it, absolutely. It's how many people are riding in the snow? How many people are out there whether you're actively, intentionally doing it or not, or you get caught in it like I did. When you do, it's a cool experience, you know? I'll save it for guys like you, but, I'm sorry. This story then, the
ride to Culver's.
Yes. How long does this one take you?
That one wasn't that long. I ended up leaving really late.
Okay.
But no, it was like a 16-hour ride, 17-hour ride.
Like on an average, I know, some of them are going to either be longer, shorter, maybe more, because they're not all 1,000 miles and then dead stop. Some of them are 11, 1,200, maybe whatever they may be. But on average, now that you've been doing this many of them, how long are these kind of taking you average?
I would usually give myself 16 hours.
16 hours.
Yeah.
And I asked because I'm like, okay, how long did mine take? I think my first one took me 19. I think I've done one in like 17. So I'm right in between, I think, 17 and 19 hours on the ones that I've done. And I wasn't like out there like trying to pin it to win it and just be like set records and stuff. I didn't want to be out there for 22, 23 hours at a time. But I also was like mindful of it. And boy, I'm telling you, man, 1,000 miles is one thing. That's one part of it. But just the time you're on the saddle, you're on the road, you're out there on your bike for 16, 17, 18, 19, 23 hours and 58 minutes. You're out there for that long of a time, and it can it's a challenge. I'm gonna say that from my end of it, maybe not for you at this point, maybe it's just a Sunday's ride in the park for you at this point now, but physically and also mentally, to do this amount of time on the road and sit on your bike for that long, there is a challenge to it. There is and so how do you overcome it? What is your...
Yeah, so for me, it was always the 750 mile mark.
That's about the mark.
I have this, like, I pulled a muscle years ago, and it hasn't really given me an issue since then. But man, every ride around the 750 mile mark, it would just start this, like the muscle would start spasming in my shoulders, and I'm just like, but man, yeah, and when you're in gear, you're on the road, you're trying not to be at a gas stop for too long. I'm not going to take off all my gear and try to massage myself and give myself 5 minutes of relief. It's just mental powering through it and realizing that, you know what, it's going to suck and then it's going to not suck.
Yep.
Eventually.
Yeah.
And that's really just
I mean, I'll be real. You just said it right now, man. There is a part of a 1K in a day that does suck.
Yeah.
There is some part along of it that it sucks, but it's I don't know what it does for you afterwards to be able to like, oh man, look what I did. I didn't do it 57 sometimes in a year, but every time that I have accomplished mine, and every single one of mine, Carlos, I've got rained on. Every single one of mine, it seems to be like I have to get rained on, but there was one I came home and it was the last hour that I got rained on. 126 coming down that way, and it just dumped. And when I got home, boy, just wringing that shit out, man. But I was miserable for that last part of it. But when I got home, I was like, damn, look what I just did.
Shower felt amazing.
Oh, man, the shower felt absolutely amazing.
Couch felt great after.
No, my bed. Food. I was straight to bed, boy. You were worn out. Like, that is part number 2 of it, man. It takes a little bit to recover from the shit. I know in my travels with it, because you have to kind of, in my opinion,
your body's still working.
You need to work up to be able to ride 1,000 miles in a day. If all you've ever ridden is 200, 300, 400 miles at most, and that's still a lot of miles in a day. For the people that do ride lengths like that, it's it's still like at the end of the day, you feel it. You feel that many miles.
Well, you're working. I mean, you're working the bike.
But when you do 1,000 miles, boy, you get off of the bike and you're kind of like you can feel 1,000 miles on you. So there's a recovery process to it as well. Yeah. Like you said, you're kicking it with your wife on a Sunday. I'm kicking it. We're gonna stay home, but you got to kind of be in it to win it. And the victory at the end, it's never about the accolade, the personal satisfaction. Enjoy the ride, take the ride for what it is. Keep your head up, look around and see and look at all the things that you're kind of experiencing, and enjoy it for what it is, man, because not everybody can say that they've done a 1K in a day, man, especially 57 of them.
I got a question. So, I mean, you've been on the road a lot. I don't know before you close out or anything.
Oh, no.
I got a question. What's the wildest thing you've seen? Craziest, wildest thing you've seen? And it doesn't have to be the trip itself, just on the road. There's accident, a horse or donkey.
You share yours, I'll share mine.
You know what I'm saying? So what's the craziest, wildest thing that you can remember? What the hell was that? Or
dude,
something like
I've
that.
had a handful, man.
Well, give me a couple then.
Dude, so countless semis on fire. For some reason, those things are always catching fire. Really? I didn't realize how much semis burn down. But no, I've seen a lot of them, and they're always at night. But RV homes on fire. I don't know what people are doing, but so that was weird.
Just kidding.
Right? Yeah, I guess I didn't realize how many vehicles burn on the side of the road.
Okay.
Yeah, crazy. But no, weird things in the sky. Not to get into conspiracy. I'm not trying to be like an alien.
No, really.
UFOs.
Because you see some gnarly stuff out there sometimes.
You see some weird stuff. I've seen some very weird stuff, especially it being Nevada. Once you start going up into closer to Ely, because it's very close to Area 51. You see some weird stuff in the sky, man. Things I don't know what they were. I couldn't even tell you
stuff
what they
makes were. It makes you think, though.
Yeah, you just look up and why is that light moving like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, creepy stuff, man. It always seems to be in Nevada. One time I was coming down from fuck, what is that place called? It's north of Ely, but anyway, so I was coming south, and empty highway, just completely empty. Hadn't seen a car in miles, probably an hour at that point, and I come up on these two dogs on the highway, both of them looking at me. Creepy is nobody around, nothing around. It's just land. Two white dogs, just standing there staring at me. And I was like, and I came to a stop, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Did I just ride into the Twilight Zone? What is this? And so we stare at each other for, I don't know, felt like forever, probably 10 to 30 seconds. We're just looking at each other, and I'm waiting for them to move, and then finally one looks at the other, and they look at each other, and then they just slinked away.
Just walked away. The most random thing, huh?
Dude, so weird. But yeah, it's on those empty highways. I feel like that you always see the weirdest shit.
Yeah. I was on one. I think it wasn't my last one, but my buddy Billy, who's the one I did it around Area 51. And in hindsight, we probably should have done the route that we did backwards, because we were going through Death Valley at night.
Ooh.
Yeah, which probably, and Bill probably be like, well, yeah, because you were taking too long at gas stops. And, you're probably going to throw some shade my way for sure. But that the craziest experience that I had, because it was like a moment of oh shit, that was 3 minutes earlier and that would have been me, is we were entering Death Valley, pitch dark, nighttime. I don't know why we were going that way at that time, but we got to this light or the stop sign, and Bill's like, all right, we're making a right here. And we kind of just stopped, gathered ourselves for a quick second, or whatever road we were on. We're like, okay, we're hitting here. And there was a sign that said Death Valley. So I'm like, okay, we're going into Death Valley right now. And I've never ridden Death Valley in the daylight or anything. This was Mike's. So Death Valley to me is still just a black, a black hole as far as I was concerned. But we were cruising down this road, and it kind of had a little kind of whoops. We were in it, and it's dark, boy. Luckily, Billy had that one of those lights, the Baja lights. Luckily, he has one of those. I'm like, dude, you go in front of me, man. I can't see shit. So he's lighting up the road, and all I'm saying is his little red light behind me. That's all I'm kind of following. And it's a little dusty. It's not crazy, but we're on this road for maybe 10 miles or so. And all of a sudden, man, we're hitting this kind of like whoops where you kind of go up and then you come down. And then in the distance, I just see this orange flashing light. Just one, like, I'm like, what the shit is that, man? I could see it ahead of us, and it comes into sight, and then it goes away. It comes into sight, and it goes away, because the road is kind of doing this, right? And I'm like, it's getting closer, and it's getting closer, and it's just this orange flashing light. And finally, it gets to us, man, and I'm like, what the shit is this thing, man? And it's a car. It's a car that is just, the orange flashing light is all that's left of the front end, because it just hit a donkey about a half mile up the road a little bit, where I that's about where I had seen it, kind of like, I'm like, what the shit is that thing? And it had just hit, so we're like, he's got his hand out the window and he's doing this shit, he's kind of like, slow down, slow down. And just like over the next hump or something, man, you see this donkey, dude, and the donkey family's up on the hill looking at poor Fred, man. Poor Fred just got annihilated, man. But I was like, man, a couple minutes earlier, it might have been me, but it was a moment of like, oh shit. And right before we made that right turn to go into Death Valley, I see the sign that says Death Valley and it's pitch dark and it's black. But I got that like, I'm sure you guys have had that feeling when you're riding. You get that like, that's kind of a eerie. You got that weird feeling to you.
Goosebumps.
I got that right before we hit that, man. And so that was kind of like the gnarliest thing I came across. And this donkey was no joke, boy. The guy was huge. Poor guy, he was done. But it was pretty intense, man. To be that when you ride past it, I'm like, that's the moment I was like, okay, maybe we should have rode this route backwards, and we should have done Death Valley during the day, But we went around Area 51. It was a cool ride, man. That was I experienced a little bit of that as well around the Area 51 part, where I rode on the wrong side of the road for like 30 miles with no car or no nothing around me, and I'm just like, man, look, there's nobody around me, man. Didn't see one single car, and I was like, this is kind of cool, but that was my experience, man. That was like the most gnarliest thing I've come across on a 1K. But I saw like on that same ride, like what you're saying, you see some random ass shit. There was part of the border wall. I saw it on trains being transported down there and shit. I'm like, hey, dude, that's the fucking border wall. Like, you can tell that's what it was. So you got to kind of get out there on the road to kind of experience and see like some shit that you're not going to see riding the Neptunes or riding here, riding there.
Pretty cool stuff.
So a 1K will really test you, man, and you'll see a lot of different shit. I personally, I haven't done them like you have. I have done them where I'm home every night, so I'm doing like a 500 and something miles out, and then turning around and coming home, because I want to be sleeping in my bed that same night, man. The same night I put down 1,000 miles, I want to be sleeping in my bed. He was saying, Eric, man, the last one we did it in December. Obviously you've done them in December, and the last one that I did was in December, and it was a bit of a personal challenge for me, because I have done them summertime and springtime, a little easier on the, and I'm like, I'm doing this one in like December. I want a little bit more, not that you need more of a challenge for God's sakes, but I did this one in December, and I took I put it out there this time. I said, I'm doing a 1K. If anybody wants to go, this is the day I'm doing it. Come and join me. And we had a buddy of ours, man, Eric. That guy showed up, man.
And we didn't know him.
I didn't know him.
We didn't know him prior to this. He's our buddy now, but we didn't know him prior to this.
Had no idea. I just put it out there, man, and I said, anybody that wants to go, I'm going on this day. If you're interested, let me know, And so he's like, I want to go. And I didn't know any of this about him until we did a podcast like a week or two after we did this thing. He had just bought that Sportster, just bought that thing. He showed up at the gas station. We left at like 12 o'clock that night. I tried it different. Normally, I do them like leave at like 4 in the morning, and I'm home 8, 9, 10 o'clock, whatever it is. This one, I'm like, I want to be home earlier. So I left at like 12 at night, rode through the night, and then I got home like at 5. But he showed up, man, with a pair of Levi's. I think he had cowboy boots. He had like one layer underneath, maybe 2 layers of a jacket or something like that. And we rode down the 8.
I want to say he had a hoodie.
He had
no vest.
Yeah, man. I'm like, Eric, you got anything under that? Nah, I'll be okay. Oh boy, man. He learned
no windshield, forward controls,
nothing, man. I was like, Eric, the good thing that, like I told you earlier, the good thing about not knowing any better is you just show up and you just do the damn thing, man. But I gave him a lot of credit, man. Eric, there are a lot of people that would have just bowed out or would have said, fuck this, and dipped. But
And he just bought the bike, right?
He had just bought the bike. Yeah, by the time we got home, because he was running with baggers and shit, 6 speeds. By the time we got home, I think had a little tick on the top end of it. Shit.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he was running and gunning really hard with us, man. So, well, what would be some advice? I think that you've got a lot of experience. I think his name is Chris Hopper. I think I did a podcast with him. You've heard of Chris Hopper?
I think so. Yeah.
100,000 miles in 100 days or something. He did 1,000 miles every single day for like 100 days, and it hit 100,000. And he was like, I had the luxury and privilege of talking to him and hearing his story. You're next in line. He's got that title. You're like right behind him. Yeah. What would be some advice that you would kind of give to people that are considering to do this, like in preparation for it? Like,
honestly, getting out there, and I would say trying out 4 hours first. Okay. Do like 4 hours.
A little prep before you just get out there and do this.
Yeah, don't just. Well, I mean, you could just jump into the 1,000 miles.
Of course, yeah.
You know, if you're trying to be safe about it, you want to be a little comfortable. Mm-hmm. Try out a 4 hour ride. Try out a few of them. When you can get to LA, from LA to Vegas, and it just seems like a quick little ride, do 1,000. And because, yeah, my first ride,
Is that how you did you try that, or did you just pop your 1K cherry? Right? I mean, I know you were doing them beforehand, but were you building your way up that way?
I would say so, because I used to go to San Antonio all the time from Texas. I was riding. It's 2.5 hours. It's not very far, but I was doing that 3.5 hours. I don't remember exactly the distance, but I would do that every weekend, and it got to be normal to me.
Oh, just a regular ride.
Yeah, yep. It got to be where it was like, oh, okay, well, let's head out. It's Friday. Let's head out to San Antonio, and then we'll do it again on Sunday.
Okay.
And then yeah, eventually, I don't know, if your body wants it, you will eventually just be like, well, shit, let's do 1,000.
So the little bit of prep before it, give yourself some, like, try this many miles first. How about like how to pack for it? Like how things to take, and just you're going to be on the road for 1,000 miles.
Right.
What are maybe like some essentials that you feel like you should consider carrying this?
Water.
Thank
100%.
You. I was hoping
water.
You were going to say that.
Tools.
Yeah, not good. Coors has water in it.
No, tools.
Oh, tools. I thought you said Coors.
Tools. No.
My bad. It's like Coors is water. No.
Coors is water. Yes.
Yeah, tools. Tools for sure.
Not Coors on a 1K. No. Water, man. Water and Gatorade.
Yeah, the Gator Lights. Those are the best.
Yeah,
ones.
The electrolyte ones.
Yeah, the electrolyte ones, especially if you're doing one in the summer. It really depends on when you're doing your 1K, but if you're doing it in the summer, you need water. You will die without water. On one of my 1Ks, I actually saved a man from dying in the desert.
That was riding with you, or you came across
No,
them?
just somebody I came across, and they were some foreigners. They had rented some bikes. They didn't even speak English. They had rented some bikes from an Eagle Rider, and they thought they'd go through the desert, the Sonoran Desert, and
wow.
They weren't
underprepared.
They weren't doing hot.
Yeah.
So if you want to be comfortable, there's things you could pack. If you want to stay alive, which is more important,
thank you.
Take water.
Let's take water.
Take water. Obviously, wear a helmet.
Yes.
Wear a jacket. No, I'm not gonna say if. Wear a jacket.
Mm-hmm.
Wear a jacket. If you could do the pants, wear some pants.
Yeah, depending obviously what type of bike you're riding. Some don't have bags, some do, and all that. Water for sure. I have been on a ride where it wasn't even cold. I was just kind of layered up, and you don't realize how quickly you'll kind of maybe dehydrate yourself. You're just your body. You feel comfortable,
yep.
But you're kind of sucking all the hydration out of you when you're in 2 or 3 layers, and you don't in a helmet. You don't.
Dehydration is bad.
You don't
too,
feel
man.
it.
Yeah. It could just creep up and hit you, man, and knock you on your ass, man.
I passed out. I literally, my buddy Bill actually, and Dave was with me. We were with Dave, and I passed out about 3 or 4 minutes after getting off of my bike at a pit stop one time, man. Shit. And it scared the shit out of me to be like, oh shit, I was about 3 or 4 minutes, from passing out the fuck on my bike at highway speeds and shit. I kind of feeling like, man, something's not right, but we're men. You just kind of, I'm all right. You just power through.
Deal with it.
But that was the first time that I've ever experienced something like that riding. And from that moment on, it's always been like, okay, I'm doing long distances, banana, water, some protein, a little jerky or something, because that shit goes a long way. It doesn't seem like a lot, man,
salt.
but
Salt
water
and
for sure,
peanuts
man.
and stuff, those are good
water
for you,
is crucial to be, and a lot of people will say that the best way to do, like, when you're doing a 1K, you make how many gas stops you make, and obviously everyone's bike's different, but you're making 4 or 5.
I always did 8.
8 gas stops?
Well, 7. I guess.
Yeah, you're making
if you're
more
including
than that.
every single one.
Yeah, you're making way more than that.
16.
Yeah. So every 250 miles to me was two gas stops. So it was. Yeah, I would always break it down to 8 stops.
Okay.
So 2 gas stops got me to 250. 2 more gas stops got me to 500. 2 more gas stops got me to 750, and then 2 more gas stops.
Gotcha.
And
the best advice I think I can give with passing out, having water, and the amount of gas stops that you do is when you stop, drink your water. Right when you get your gas, plop your lid, get a big tumbler or something, pop it, drink it, load it back up before you leave that gas station or something. Yeah. But water is definitely crucial, man. Especially, it sounds like you had the experience of like giving somebody who didn't have that damn water and saving them. Like, heat stroke, that shit's no joke, man. You know, it probably sounds like what they were going into. And
that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
And summers, like I said, summers are pretty hard for dehydrations. But now that I think about it, my worst dehydrations, like the recovery the day after, I was always the most dehydrated after a winter ride. It was always, I don't know what it is, and
I think it's the layers, man.
What it is in the wintertime, you're not drinking as much water, so you're not hydrating yourself before you take it off.
I think
in summertime, you're constantly drinking water, so you're hydrating yourself beforehand.
Yeah. I mean, I want to ask somebody that's, in biology or something, but when I would get extremely cold, I would notice I would have to piss, and I wouldn't drink water. I'm like, okay, I'll drink. In the summer, I could regulate myself. I could drink enough that I'm not, it's coming out through sweat, and I'm not having to pee every stop.
Mm-hmm.
But in the winter, I wouldn't be drinking water, but every stop I'm pissing, and I have no idea how that works.
Interesting.
I want to ask somebody who would know better, because that's not my field.
The body, the cold. Who knows?
Why when I'm cold, why am I having to pee so much?
It makes and I can relate to it because I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, it's like I didn't drink anything from that stop to this stop. Why do I got to pee right now, you know? Yeah. Man, 1Ks are no joke, man. Carlos, you've been, is your goal for this, do you have goals for this year to kill this last year's goal, or are you taking a year off, or what's your plans for 25?
Yeah, no, I have to do all the house projects that I didn't do in 2024. That's, plus, I got a kid on the way, so I got to get the nursery ready. Yeah, 2025 is going to be, I'm for sure doing a 1K.
Of course.
I don't know when.
Then I think this year's 1K, maybe I need to go, do one with you then or something, And
where you live now?
Vegas. Yeah. Yeah.
Now you live in Vegas.
I've been living in Vegas. Yeah. I mean, whenever is there a 4-day weekend this year?
Arizona Bike Week's coming up.
Yeah. I don't have time during Arizona Bike Week.
When is that?
April. No, I was saying for him.
Oh, to head out and see us.
Yeah.
Arizona Bike Week is first weekend it's the first week essentially of April.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Still nice weather.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I kind of want to do, if I, whatever 1K I do end up doing this year, I want it to be just a sick one. Maybe I'll go back to Hyder, Alaska or something.
Crazy.
Like that was so last year I did that in 4 days. So it was 1 day to the border, 1 day to Alaska, 1 day back to the border, 1 day back home.
You're nutty, dog. You're nutty, man. You got the recovery on it. Just the recovery. Like, you do 1,000 miles, I'm like, I'm not getting up. I know when I've done my 1K, I'm like, actually, I lied. I did do a 1K, and then the one time on the next day, I went down the Neptunes. But that was 20-mile ride down the road. I wasn't getting up for another 1,000. Man. So, well, congratulations on the family and starting the family, man. Your experience and your reason for, because I was like, what drove this man to go and want to do this many in a year? And I respect to it, for your reasons, respect to your wife for being supportive and understanding that, like, hey, like, go do your thing. It's important to you, and I support your goals. I got a wife that supports all of my stuff, and I know what that means to have that in your corner. So respect to all that, man. And I'm interested. I'm going to keep following along on the journey, for all of them that you're doing. for people that want to like just kind of follow along, where can they kind of follow with you and just keep up with what you're kind of doing?
So I got the Instagram page, the details in El Diablo, all underscores between all the words. And this year's goal is to start a YouTube video with a YouTube channel with all the footage that because I recorded every ride.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking of that. Did you 360 GoPro? Is that what you kind of? Okay.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
I 360'd and for like, scenery stuff. And then I was also doing product reviews with almost every ride.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
Here's a new windshield. We're going to do 1,000 miles with it.
Oh, wow.
So if you guys want to see that, yeah.
I'd love to see that type of stuff, man.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that right there, people, sometimes myself included, you do a product review and you don't know anything about it. You're putting a 1,000-mile thrash test on the thing.
Right.
You can give some good, honest, quality, consumer reviews to the thing, man.
Probably better than most influencers.
Yeah, a lot better than most influencers.
Not just like, hey, somebody gave me this free part.
Yup,
No,
yup.
I paid for everything. Nobody ever sponsored me.
Okay.
McDonald's never sponsored me.
We're gonna work on that one. We're gonna help you on that one.
Yeah.
If you had
Hey,
this-
we're gonna work
what'd
on
you have for
McDonald's.
breakfast? I'm curious what the meal was. The same meal every
It was
week.
always the 2 sausage egg McMuffins and a hash brown.
That was it. That was
That'd
the
be
fuel
me
you
too.
needed.
Yeah.
That would be you too, Joe.
Yeah, that'd be me. Yeah. Hey, we're gonna try and get McDonald's, dude.
Well, Carlos, man, it's been a privilege. It's been an honor to be able to sit here. I know we can probably talk about your time on the road for days, man. You've spent a lot of it out there, and I'm sure you have a million more stories and a million more things to be able to share. So with that being said, you're welcome back to this podcast. If you ever feel like you need to do 1,000 miles between there and here, that would be kind of cool. You ride here, do a podcast, ride back home, and wrap up your 1,000 miles. That would be kind of cool. You're always welcome here anytime, man. The mics are open. And from me to you, like, I respect and appreciate that the reason that you do it is to kind of remind people life's short. Yeah. You had an experience that made that tick in your head, and you're doing something that you absolutely love because of that incident that made you go, man, life's short. I got to get out there and live. And maybe not everybody's going to do it in this way, but I think the point is, like, live your life, right?
Right.
I think that is an example of what I think you're doing, and the message I believe that you're trying to remind people of out there, man. So keep slaying those miles, man. There are some people that say they ride. Yeah. I don't think they can. I don't think they can compete with Carlos in some of those senses. And it's not always about like the amount of miles, but it's always nice to. It's all you got a brand new bike with a shit ton of miles on the thing, man. And what year is that? It's a 22. How many miles you got on that? 70,000. What the? That's a nice little notch on the belt, right there.
Yeah, I had to show the odometer to a few people.
I would imagine.
Look.
Yeah. How many did you have on that thing before your?
1,000. So I broke it in. It was 1,000. So I had 1,000 when I started the year, or I think 2,000 maybe. And as of right now, it's like 71.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the year 24, basically.
Right. That's not counting the other ones that I rode.
Yeah. Good deal, man. I mean, that's what bikes are meant to be for, right? They're meant to be ridden and stay safe. Yeah. By all means, stay safe. I'm glad that nothing major catastrophic has happened to you in that 70,000 plus miles, man, because it's a lot of time out there on the road, man. So make sure you give this guy a follow. One more time with the Instagram name.
The details in El Diablo.
And can we just at least tease them? Is the name for the YouTube channel thinking going to be the same?
It's the same channel, yeah.
Okay. Have you already started the YouTube channel?
I believe I started it.
Okay.
He started it. Yeah, I just never uploaded anything.
I got you, man. Yeah, so go and check out the YouTube channel. Follow the Instagram. And then Ride 1K in a Day, of course. Go and check them out. And take the challenge, as Ride 1K in a Day says. Yeah. Put your miles where your mouth is, right?
Yeah.
And get out there and ride, man.
Get some of your homies and go ride 1,000 miles in a day.
That's it, man. We're going to do one this year. I'm going to put another...
I'm going to borrow a bike.
Yeah, I need you to borrow a bike because your 70 miles to the tank is not going to do it.
I'm going to borrow a bike. It's not that I don't mind the windshield or the ride.
No, it's the gas mileage.
My bike gets about 70, 75 miles to a tank.
It's terrible, Carlos.
We're not doing that in 1,000 miles. Yeah. No way, no how.
No way, no how. You need like gas strap.
I stopped I have to stop 4 times just to go to Anaheim and back.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I know. You're telling me.
That sucks.
So, well, Carlos, thanks, man. Appreciate you hanging out with us, man.
Good to meet you.
You are welcome anytime. Make sure to give this man a follow both on his Instagram and his YouTube. And if you're interested in doing a Ride 1K in a day for yourself, check out the Instagram page, Ride 1K in a day. Our homeboy Ramble over there is always doing good things and challenge you to put your miles where your mouth is, guys. Appreciate everyone tuning in every Thursday. New podcast drop 7 p.m. And, of course, our vlogs drop at 4 p.m. every Monday.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. Later.
Peace.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it, man.
For sure, man.
Thanks, dude. That was
a good
awesome,
time.
dude.